now I'd like to tell you about scene 8. You are going to have to make some decisions, and that's why Father asked me to share this with you. And I made up little words that, with the same letters. So you can flee, you can fortress in place, you can pretend it's not true, you can have faith more than fear, but we'll talk about all that. There's going to come a time in your life, I believe, there's going to come a time in your life when you have to make a decision whether or not you're going to take the mark. Over at scene 5, the mark first started being known and suggested. And by scene 6, you had to take the mark. And I remembered that. I remember standing in line, and I myself wasn't there, but I don't know how it happened. I don't know, but I have memories in this order. When I was in the line, I was off to the left and up a little bit higher than the people in the line, and they were all going into a school. And what I found out in the vision was that all the schools were open to do this, like 24/7. When he gave the mandate that you've got to have this, because at first it was completely voluntary, and then it was you have to have this and you have to have this within a week. So the people that I have read and heard what they have to say on this topic say that in the USA, it's a Walmart, that all Walmart, or a lot of Walmarts are going to have, just like some of them have these little clinics inside the store, or they have eyeglass optical people in the store, that there's going to be a corner of the store that you can go and get your mark. And it might be a chip. Let's pretend it is. So you go into this thing and you tell them who you are and your social security number, and they enter all that in their computer, and then they say, okay, and we're going to, so their little chip might have marked, it has 9 digits or something, and that is linked to your social security number and your name, and they take your picture, and that happens. I've heard a lot of people say it's at a Walmart, and it totally could be. I absolutely see that that's possible. But what I saw when I was standing in line with those people, it was in a school, all public schools, and I guess they must have had some kind of a training class for everybody who was maybe, there are people who are authorized to work around children, and they have to have their fingerprints done, and they have to have certifications. Even if they're not teachers, they have to have their own certification. So I'm kind of thinking maybe those kind of people, even lunch workers at the school, anybody who's free to work around children, have to have, their fingerprints and their background checks. So I'm thinking that everybody who had that went to some kind of class or watched videos or something, and they knew what to do to enter the data, take the picture, and put the thing in the person's hand. So maybe in other countries, maybe there is no Walmart, and maybe it's all at the schools. Because what I saw was only at schools, and it was every school, every public school, and even every private school. If they had anything to do, if they took any government money, which I think all schools do pretty much, they had to have these people on staff, and they had to be open 24/7. So I've been, for instance, I was very, very patriotic. My family had been in the United States for 300 years, landowners for 300 years, and fought in every war the United States has ever been in. So it was hard for me to accept what I saw and then to obey to leave the nation. But it was schools. It was not a Walmart, and and maybe only for that week, maybe. And then maybe after that, if there was some new person who came into the country or for some reason was sick and couldn't get their chip or something, maybe it's Walmarts afterward. But for that week, they were open 24/7, and everybody seemed to know how to do that. So you stood in line. You went through the process. The line went quickly. I watched it. I was never close enough to see what they were doing. It seemed like, I think I saw a contact lens at some point, and maybe that's for people that didn't have hands or something. I don't know, but I do, and I also saw the little grain of rice sized chip that they put in your hand in the web. And but everybody has a different story. Some are in prison, some are in hospitals, some are busy being whatever. So they had to accommodate all the different needs of the people. And what I saw was standing in line at school. Okay. So if you took the mark, now most people thought that that meant they were safe, that they would never have to go die with a guillotine. Because I have the mark, I'm in the inn. But that's not what it meant. It meant that you had the right to continue to live in society unless you did something that was considered offensive, or what they always called it, the cancer on society, were the criminals, those people who didn't have the discipline to obey and respect the leaders. So the people who took the mark lived a normal life, and this is a normal city. For some reason, Father told me to see Chicago, to use Chicago. Maybe because that's close to where Mary Beth was. Maybe it's because the real leader of the United States, the mixed race leader, and his wife are from Chicago. I don't know. But I used Chicago. You will see that there is the big O'Hare Airport back here, a little representation of it. And you will see that there is a guillotine next to the courthouse. People are getting married. They're going into the courthouse to get married. Normal, normal, normal. There's normal traffic. There's a McDonald's on purpose, because I think I was supposed to tell you that life continued as normal, even after those horrible things. So yes, there's a McDonald's, and yes, everybody is normal and they have lives. And you will see that, yes, the chemtrails are continuing, and that's, yes, chemtrails are real. Yes, it's a poison. Yes, I know a lot of people think that anybody who thinks that is a conspiracy theorist and a total nut, but the fact is I've researched it and it's true, and I knew then and I know now. So chemtrails continued, and this is Chicago. There's a picture of the Obamas' home in Chicago. It's 1.6 million, the last I knew, and it has, I think, 14 bedrooms, and it's at Hyde Park, a lovely area, and quite wonderful. But it's marvelous, the better part of $2 million. But I wanted to get to the part where I show this glass of water. Water is going to be a very serious topic. Like we hear about anthrax and other bad diseases and things that are scary, they're nothing compared to the fact that most of us are not going to have clean water to drink. So the one thing, and this is off topic, but the one thing that I would suggest right now is that if you're going to try to stay to fortress in place, buy a lot of water tanks and hook them up to your gutter so that every time there's any rain, it'll go down and you can capture it and use it at least to flush your toilets, if not to drink. Water is a very serious problem. And the EDs who promise to fix all of our water problems don't. That was not true. So there are water problems. Now I'm going to put this back. So what I want to share with you is life does continue, and if you take the mark, you can expect to live kind of a normal life. You will have the right, you're not guaranteed a job, but you have the right to get a job. You have the right to go to a hospital. You have the right to pay your taxes. There's no guarantee, but life can continue for you for maybe quite a long time. I did put an awful lot of policemen in this set, because I wanted to show you that, to me, I'm shocked at how the police have turned more like military, army, than they are, to me, than they are police. And that continues even more so, and that you will find, I believe, if everything I saw was correct, you will see more policemen on more street corners, and you will be aware that you are not, nothing you do is private. Everything is Big Brother, just like that book. It's all Big Brother, and they know everything you're doing, and every one of their records is attached to another and linked, and they can know everything about you in a matter of 1 minute. Other than that, it just looks pretty much like today.